Hi, George.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? It is wonderful to meet you.
As well.
Congratulations on the show.
Thank you.
I'm a huge fan. I get goosebumps because it just makes me so happy. So let's start off. Tell me a little bit about George.
I'm from the New York area in
Mhm.
New Jersey. I currently live in Los Angeles, and yeah, I've always loved to travel, but I haven't always had the bankroll for it. Um,
Right? That can be
and
challenging for some.
yeah, and I've lived in LA. I've worked in TV for many years, and so at a certain point, it kind of made sense to combine those two aspects of my life, travel and television, and create a show like this.
That's awesome. I absolutely love it. I have watched several of the episodes. Tell me, I want to get into some of the more like some of the cities,
Sure.
but tell me some overall. How did you choose the cities? Um, and tell me, well, let's start with that first. Tell me how you decided on the cities.
Well, for this season, we just kind of tried to get a variety. We focused mostly on the eastern half of the country. And so within that, we did, because we shot three cities at a time. And
Oh, nice.
so there's 12 episodes, so it's 4 trips of three cities each. And so within that, we did a Northeast leg, a Midwest leg, a Texas, Louisiana leg, and then a Southeast leg. And so just
Nice.
kind of hit sort of 4 corners of the eastern half of the US.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to be, the viewers are really going to be taken aback by all of your adventures. Can you tell us what city was your favorite?
I mean, as I said, I grew up outside New York City, so I
Mhm.
am a little biased towards New York.
Of
Uh,
course.
but outside of that, I'm a big fan of Chicago. Uh,
Okay.
it's really one of my favorite cities in the world.
Yeah.
I've been there before, but I don't know, something about it. It's just wonderful. I really like it there.
Well, I've never been, so I can't wait to watch that episode. It's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah,
So,
it's a fun city.
So I am fortunate enough to be a military spouse, and my husband serves in the army, and we've actually been stationed at around several of the places that you went to this year.
Mhm.
And New Orleans, we're currently in Louisiana, so New Orleans was a really cool episode to watch. Tell me a little bit about the New Orleans episode.
Well, I mean, obviously, I ate plenty of food while I was in New Orleans. But I tried to go a little more odd with it sometimes, not just the standard delicious New Orleans food, but some of the stuff that's maybe a little different. So I ate alligator and turtle soup, which is a
So,
little different.
yeah,
Um, and just New Orleans, I mean, it's a real interesting town. I mean, it's probably one of the most unique cities in the country. Um,
it really
I mean,
is.
one thing, I mean, I went to a place there, Igoe's, where it's a bar where you can also do your laundry.
I've
And
heard of it. I've never been, but
what blew me away when I was doing my research on New Orleans, those kind of bars are all over the place.
right.
I
Crazy.
heard one, and I'm like, a bar where you can do your laundry. That's curious. And then I kept looking. I'm like, wait, another one and another one. Like, it's just the most silly thing, and I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So tell me when you talk about the research that you put into, each city, how much time does that take and what resource, well, I mean, we don't want to say what resources, but do you have like friends that live in the different areas that say, hey, you know what, you got to check that part or you got to check this, in the city?
Um, I take a lot of time researching. I put in, definitely hours over the course of days, probably. But I enjoy doing it personally. Um, but if I know someone in the area, of course I will reach out to them. Or if I'm, even when I'm on the ground in the city, I mean, I do as much as I can beforehand. But when I'm on the ground, if I'm talking to an Uber driver or
Hmm.
someone who works at one place might tell me about another place. I mean, that happened in Houston, the restaurant I went to. I don't know if you saw that episode.
Oh, Irma's? Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was I believe it was an Uber driver who just said, "Oh, have you heard of Irma's?" And I'm like, "No." And so we showed up and we're like, "Hey, can we shoot this segment here?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay." And they were
Oh,
great, and Irma was a
awesome.
sweetheart. And so always I'm a big proponent of doing research in advance, but you know also leaving space to fly by the seat of your pants and let those happy accidents happen.
Absolutely. Definitely a true traveler when you can fly by the seat of your pants. So, like Houston is actually, we're from East Texas originally. So Houston was like our big, big city adventure for us growing up. And I saw the button in the I thought that was really funny. I was like, I think we've seen that actually, and I think we have done it. So it did work in the past.
I've seen video of it working, but yeah, it was no longer. But the button's still there. You can still press that mysterious button.
Yeah, and so I will say that, as a Texan, I really appreciated that the last part of your trip. I won't spoil it, but so that everybody will watch it. So that was very, very awesome, and thank you. I mean, that was wonderful.
Yeah, like sometimes end things. I try to end things, tie things up in a nice little bow.
Right. So I believe actually that was the first episode that I watched. So I noticed that in some of the other cities, you still have, a little bit of budget left over. What do you do with that budget? Or do you just say, okay, well, we had a great time? Or do you cut it off by a certain, do you have a time frame that you like to stay? Um, it's kind of like a two-part question. I'm sorry.
If I mean, also I mean, it's not the goal is not necessarily to spend all of them.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it's just because I have an extra $20 in my pocket doesn't mean I now have it's not burning a hole in my pocket and I gotta figure
Right.
something out. I mean, I want to do it on stuff that and also do what is best creatively for the show.
Totally.
Don't want to just throw money at something and put a segment in the show that doesn't really make sense. Um,
Right.
but and what was the second part of that question? The
I have ADHD, George. I don't know. So, but actually, something that ties into that part of, having that little budget left over. Um, when the six different, I don't know if I was able to like write down if you stuck with the same points at every city. But do you try to stick with the same, like the food, the culture, people, the
um,
topic?
I mix it up. It is not the same. It is
Okay.
mixed up based on what the research turns out. And
Okay, awesome.
I'll have I think it's maybe like 7 or 8 different
Mhm.
potential categories, and I'll do however many naturally happen. I don't have any set rules. I kind of let it go where it naturally goes creatively.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, because I was like, wait, did he have this many for the other one? I'm like, I think he might have added one to this one. So
Yeah,
that's really cool. I like that. I think that's a huge. Go ahead.
I think food and drink are in every single episode. I'm pretty certain of that. Um,
Hmm.
and I know culture is in probably most, if not all. But then,
Hmm.
yeah, outside of those, kind of mix it up, see what the city has to offer.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's a fantastic because a lot of people when they travel, some say, you know what, I like to go off the beaten path. I don't want to just do the main attractions of, a big city or whatever. So I think that that's a really, really cool addition and a part of your show that people are really going to enjoy and be like, because I'm assuming that when you were in Savannah, the Saturdays, like, do they do that every Saturday?
The
The medieval, I
Oh,
know
yeah,
it's called
Nashville.
LARPing.
Yeah, the
I'm
foam.
like, I know it's called LARPing.
It's they say it's not LARPing on their website, but it's
Oh, okay.
a foam fighting league. Yeah, every I believe Sunday in or Saturday or Sunday. Yeah,
Okay.
Nashville. And
Yeah. Oh, that
yeah,
was Nashville.
that was Nashville.
See?
Yeah,
I watched a lot of them. They were so cool, George. Like I like seriously, we've been to Nashville. So that was another reason why I was like, "Ooh, I gotta watch this one too."
yeah.
And yeah, that was I thought, if people don't know, or if it's something that happens on the regular basis, then uh, a traveler will just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go check this out," and get to participate. So that's really cool. It's a way to immerse yourself into the to the community, to the life. So that was perfect. I really enjoyed that.
You know what?
Um, sorry, I'm super excited because it was. Go ahead.
There's something I like to say, like you were talking about, off the beaten path stuff. And I do, I mean, I go to certain big time tours, more touristy
Right.
stuff. I went to, World of Coca-Cola in Atlanta,
Of
which is
course.
not
Yeah.
very, much on the beaten path. Um,
Right.
but also like in hitting the more unusual stuff, one of the rough guidelines I like to think is, would this be a good second or third date spot? Like,
Ooh,
is this
yes.
kind of kitschy, kind of silly, fun, you know, but like there's enough going on so that it's you have enough to talk about with someone who you're still getting to know that well,
Ooh,
but
that's
and
a new show, George. That's a new show idea.
so it's second or third date with so like that's what I'm thinking. Like, would this play well on camera? Would it
Right.
be a good third date? And
Really.
a lot of the places I think are. I think the Foam Fighting League would be.
That was definitely interesting. I was like, okay, that's really cool though. And like Santa's Club or Santa's Bar in Nashville, or no, yeah, it was Nashville also, right?
Santa's. That is the diviest of dive bars, and I love it.
And it's a mobile home, right? It's an actual mobile home.
It's yeah, it's a mobile home. It's decently sized on the inside, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's a mobile home in the middle of kind of the woods in a parking lot.
We
Uh,
drove by there one night. Yep. I was in Nashville for a conference and they were like, we should go to Santa's bar. We were like, what? And we drove by there and I was like, I don't know. We're not locals. So that was super cool to see that in the episode. And I was very excited about the Savannah episode as well. The Pirate House is one of my favorite places.
oh yeah.
So I was like, yes, that's literally what I did when I saw you. I was like, yes, he went to the Pirate House.
Oh yeah, I still have my skull mug.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, I wasn't giving that up.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think we have one of the mugs from another drink, but yeah, that was one of our favorite places. If you ever go back, the pecan fried chicken is amazing.
I want to say I had that off camera,
Oh, really?
maybe because we I think it might have been lunchtime anyway, and we shot our segment and then
Nice.
lunch break. But
Yeah,
it sounds awfully familiar. Yeah.
it's delicious. So, in talking about traveling, do you see, like, you mentioned like what would be good, like a dating, stuff like that. Will George ever have a partner with him?
That is a very complicated question.
Okay.
I don't know. For right now, the content I'm making, doing it solo works for me. I'll
It's
admit
awesome.
I'm not dating anyone at the moment, but who knows what the future will hold.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's fantastic. George Goes Everywhere is like the best title too. Um, how did you decide on George Goes Everywhere?
I don't even remember. It was because I was working in kind of crafting the show. I was working with some people at Million Stories, and I
Mhm.
think one of them came up with it. Actually, I don't even think it was,
Nice.
and I said, okay, that works. But can I tell you, I have friends who are very upset by that title. Actually, you know why?
Why?
Because my last name is Igo.
Uh-huh.
They say the show should be called I Go Everywhere. And I'm like, and then so they're like, that's a no-brainer. Why is it not I Go Everywhere? And they're not wrong. Here's what I do say, that no one ever pronounces my last name correctly. Everyone always says ego or egoet
Uh-huh.
or ijo, or it's always wrong. And so they'll look at it and they'll say, ego everywhere. What the heck does that mean? I'm not
Yeah.
watching that show. So I think George, until I'm more well known, George goes everywhere it works.
I think it's perfect. I go everywhere would be also pretty awesome. You can just use that as a hashtag.
That is my real name. Some people think that's a stage name. That's my real.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And honestly have such a contagious energy. Like you really come through. Because I would like at the beginning of every episode, like I was super excited because I was like, where's George going today? Or what is he gonna do? Because you just have this really positive and just happy personality. So, thanks for that because that's needed right now. Um,
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I really try to keep the energy high, and it's edited very quickly. Keep
mhm,
keep it moving. Yeah, and just yeah, positivity, high energy. Uh,
mhm.
yeah, I that's something I definitely strive for, and so I'm glad to hear that you
Yeah,
like.
well, it's contagious. So thank you for that. And is there plans for season two?
I would love nothing more than to do a second season. A Million Stories has been a fantastic partner to work with.
Mhm.
It's hard to really make plans these days with
Right,
everything that's going on. But I would love to do nothing more. But we'll have to see what happens.
right. Well, thank you, George. I will say, can I just one more question? In becoming involved with Million Stories, was this a program that you had pitched, or was this someone that said, "Hey, collaborative idea that came to," and just kind of tell us how George Goes Everywhere came to be through Million Stories.
Well, I was referred to them by a friend, an old coworker. I used to write for the TV show Mike and Molly, if you remember that.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah.
and so one of the other writers there is friends with someone over at Million Stories, and they asked him, "Do you know of a younger millennial type that maybe makes videos or stuff?" And he's like, "As a matter of fact, I do." And because I've been doing stuff like this on my personal YouTube channel
Mhm.
for years, and they were just looking for a budget travel show, and I made a show a couple years prior on my personal YouTube channel called Rich Travel Poor Travel, which is I'm a frequent flyer miles kind of expert. And
Okay.
so what I did was I fly somewhere in first class like a rich man. Then once
Mhm.
I land, I have to explore the city on a budget like a poor man. And so
I
I did,
like it.
and
I like it.
so they were like, "Hey, we're looking for like a budget travel show." And I'm like, "Well, I kind of made something like that already. Go check it out." And they checked it out, and they're like, "Oh, okay, you might be the guy we're looking for." And then we kind of back and forth a little, hashed out the details of this show, and it was very collaborative in that regard. And yeah, but then yeah, the Singleton Foundation and Million Stories decided to pick it up and go through with it and make 12 episodes.
Well, thankfully, because it's amazing. Please tell us where we can find you on social.
I'm just if you George Igo on is my YouTube channel.
Okay.
George.igo on Instagram. If you Google George Igo, I'm very easy to find. Uh, it's a fairly unique name. There's not a lot of George Igos in the country, so I'm very easy to find in that regard.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, George. I really appreciate you speaking with me. Like I said, I love the show and I can't wait to watch the rest of the episodes. I can't wait for everyone else to watch the season. And here's hoping for more.
Yeah, hope so. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.